So I've put a picture up here depicting a story a lady related on social media a little while ago about being followed or coming across a guy walking down the street and then being followed and feeling uneasy about it. And I'm sure lots of women and girls can relate to this these days, about guys being fixated on them, staring at them or following them. So I wanted to go through this and just bring up a few really basic pointers that, how this could have been avoided. So the backstory is that she's been out with friends. It's at late at night. They've all split up. They've gone home, and she's walking down the road on her way home. So it's dark. You've got the normal street town lighting. So you've got intermittent lighting from street lamps and everything else. There's nobody else around. So there's only her on the road, on the street. She's walking down, and then this guy who she sees. Now she doesn't say whether she's on a main road and she's been on that road for a while before she spots this guy, or she's turned a corner onto a side road and she spots this guy. So she doesn't explain that. So let's take it that she's gone round a corner and she's walking down the road, she spots this guy in front of her. Okay, first red flag, there's nobody around, and there's you, a lady, and a guy in ahead of you on the same side of the street walking in the same direction. That's the first red flag. Now we want to act on what's called clusters. The more things, the more red flags, the more things we can point towards a threat, the more sure we can be it's a threat. So this is the first red flag. I'm on my own. Yeah, so she's on her own and there's a guy in front of her and there's nobody else around. So that's the first red flag. Now if that was me, and I'll just explain a few things as we're going along as I'm telling the story here as she did. If that was me, I'd have stopped and gone, okay, what's his size, what's his build, what's his dress like? Does he look like he's drunk and he's walking? Does he look like he's maybe, wandering around a bit? Does he look like he's confident? Does he look like he knows where he's going? Could he be homeless? I'd stop and give him some time to get ahead of me. Now, if I thought at that point the guy's a threat, I'd have just carried on in a different direction. I don't want to be putting myself in a situation where I need to get in any sort of physicality. Now, I've been doing self-protection, self-defense, ex-military, worked as a bodyguard for nearly, over 30 odd years, protected people in every single country and continent, every continent on the planet, lots of different countries against lots of different threats. So, and I'm pretty good at what I do actually. So I wouldn't even put myself in that situation. In my case, I'm 6'3", 14 stone, and I wouldn't put myself in that situation. So if I thought that guy was going to be a threat, just by looking at him, I'd have just walked off and gone in a different direction. Right, so she carries on walking. Now, she must have coughed, sneezed, scraped her shoes, or she had high heels on and, they were clicking as she was going down the road because he must have heard her, because he stopped, turned round and saw her. He didn't just do that, he just stopped dead and was fixated on her, was staring at her. So that's red flag number 2. I'd have just turned around and walked off. So she doesn't say whether she keeps on walking towards him, but she does say she crosses the road. Now, crossing the road in itself is a really good thing to do. It puts more distance between you and what you think a possible threat is. Now, we do this, it's a counter-surveillance drill. So if we think we're being followed, we'll cross the road. We'll look behind us, see if anybody else crosses the road at the same time. If they did, I'd cross the road again, see if they crossed the road, or see if somebody else crossed the road from my side of the road. I might have one, if I can spot people, I might have one follower, I might have 2 followers. So there are different drills we can do. We can stop, turn around, walk back in the same direction, see if anybody startles or flinches or looks away sharply or does something that is not normal. So there's things we can do, and crossing that road is a good thing that she did. But if she's that worried, why didn't she cross the road and just go in the opposite direction, putting more space between her and what she thought might have been a potential threat? Because she said on the video, she was worried that he was a potential threat. Now, she doesn't say whether she stopped and she was in, conversational range, even if it was a loud voice range, or whether she crossed or just carried on walking towards him. Now, if we are making decisions, because everything we need to do is decision making, the closer we are to a threat, the less time we have to respond, the less information we can take in to make a fast decision. The longer we have, so if I just walk around the corner, saw this guy, let him get a bit further ahead from me, I can take in more information, I can make a better informed decision. The closer I get to him, yes, I can take in information as I'm walking towards him, but if he responds, as closer I get, he responds, I've given myself less time to respond, for me to respond to what he's doing. So I'd have stopped, I'd have kept that distance all the time from me. Now, like I said, if she was that worried, why didn't she cross the road and then just go back in the other direction? There will have been some other way, some other route to get home. She decides to walk past the guy. So again, she's opened the distance, but now closing the distance, even though he's still standing, staring at her. So if that was me, I'd have crossed the road, gone in the opposite direction, 5 or 10 paces, I'd have looked behind me to see what he was doing. Now, if he'd crossed the road and followed me, that's another red flag. Why is he now following me? First of all, he's been standing looking at me. Now he's following me in the opposite way we were both going. Now, I understand all the macho guys out there that have maybe they could have confronted him, but you don't know whether he's armed, you don't know whether he's on drugs, you don't know whether, whatever he's on. You're putting yourself in harm's way. Now, if that was me, I'd have got up to the corner and I'd have just legged it. I'd have got out of there. And that's what she should have done. It would have stopped all this worry. So, but she didn't. She decided to walk past him. After a while, she doesn't say how long, but I would have been checking all the time. I'd have been looking. If she did that, she never said whether she was looking at him. If she wasn't looking at him, again, that's another bad decision, because if you're not looking at him, you don't know what he's doing. See, she said she looked behind her after a little while. So that could have been, I don't know, 20 meters, 30 meters, too late. What you're going to hear is people, footsteps running up to you, and then it's too late. She looked behind her and the guy had crossed over the road and was following her. So that's another red flag there. He's crossed over the road, so he wants to be closer to her. He's fixated on her for some reason, for whatever reason. So obviously she's even more scared now, so she decides to run. So she said she runs for about 30 seconds. Now, to me, 30 seconds, you're not going to get very far. Especially if you're not used to running, you're not fit. She didn't say whether she was in high heels, which would make it hard to run, or other sorts of, maybe heavy boots, making it hard to run. If it was me telling a woman what to do, if I was teaching them, it'd be get your high heels off, running your bare feet, or your stocking feet or whatever. But don't run in your high heels, don't run in shoes that are going to slow you down. So she didn't say, what sort of fitness stage she was in. So she might have only been able to run 30 seconds. She might have even come across a group of people or gone onto a main road where there was buses, taxis and everything else. Didn't look like it from the video she was doing. So she only ran for 30 seconds, which wouldn't have put much distance between her and this guy. So she didn't say whether this guy was running or what she could see behind her or anything else. This guy might have known the area. So he might have seen her turn one way and he's gone another way to cut it off. So these are the things we've got to think about. Now, the next thing that she did, and I wouldn't have done this, and I would teach everybody else not to do this, don't post straight away on the radio. I've been teaching today, so I've got things on my phone in there that they've just come out there about radios. So don't get on your phone while you're walking down the street when you've just been followed. You've just thought somebody was a threat. And what do? You get on your phone, you're walking down the road and you're posting. You're recording and you're posting. Wait until you get home, until you know you're safe. Okay? Don't do it straight after you've stopped running. So a good few things to think about here. Let me know in the comments, have you been in that situation? I've had lots of people who've come to me for, to be taught, what to do. They've been worried about doing this. Did they do the right thing? Have you been involved in that sort of thing? What did you do? Could you have done anything better? Would you like to learn more? There's lots of things that we can do before we actually get to do the self-defense part, the physical part. Drop a comment or send me a DM. My name's Rock. This is Viper Tactical Training. Stay dangerous.